It is big box time again, and not only is it big, it is heavy. This is the outer shipping carton, and it's the BYMO Komatsu PC8000-6 Backhoe diesel. And as usual, the first job is...
let's weigh it up.
Well, it's no joke lifting this box, and the giant hand cranes are struggling. But finally they can place their load, and it comes in at 21 pounds 13 ounces, and that is 9.9 kilograms. The first thing to do is to get it out of the outer shipping carton, and there's some tape to cut. And when we open up the flaps, we can see that there's some protective packaging inside. And you can just see the Komatsu branded box. After more of a fight, we can finally get the box out of the box. So let's take a look at it. There we have a nice picture of the real machine on the side, and there's some technical data with the real machine weighing over 750 tons. Looking underneath, there's some dimensioned drawings, although the digging envelope actually shows a face shovel version. This is actually only an outer sleeve, so let's remove it and see what's inside. Well, it's no surprise to see a couple of big trays, and it looks like they've been under some pressure during the shipping process. They are taped together, so let's cut the tape and lift the top tray. And no, that's not a paper model, it's just some additional protection. The unpacking battle is far from over, and the next thing we need to do is to remove a couple of wedge pieces that are holding the model firmly in the tray. And then you need to rent in the biggest of giant hand cranes to lift the model out. And that ain't easy. Lastly, there are some ties to remove, and these are just holding some moving parts in place for the shipping process. And it's quick and easy to do.
Let's weigh it up again.
We return to the weighbridge with the complete model, and we get a very substantial 17 pounds 11 ounces. And that's just over 8 kilograms. There's been an accident with the machine tipped over. Let's look at the detail. The undercarriage is heavy metal and there's a full hole for access in the centre. And the crawler tracks are also of heavy metal construction. And as you can see, they're nicely shaped. There are big drive motors at one end, and a plus point is the amount of detailing on the underside of the body. And that detailing is really at quite a high level. Even on the inside of the track frames there are bolt heads modelled, and if we ease back the tracks we can see that there are fully working rollers. And as you would expect, these are a large size. And if you want to check that they roll individually, you can, and they do. Right side up we can look at the crawler tracks again, and also see that they're mounted on heavy track frames. The drive motor assemblies are nicely detailed with hydraulic hoses running from them. The main boom rams are suitably large with plastic jackets, and they have full hydraulics detailing. At the bottom there are access platforms with textured walkways and metal handrails. And moving on to the cab, it's nicely formed with plenty of lights around the roof. And there are nice looking slats on the side window. Again, all of the handrails are metal. And you can see there are more textured walkway surfaces of fine mesh. Looking at the cab side of the body, there's some more nice details, including doors. And the graphics are very sharp. All of the handrails, and there are a lot of them, are all metal. And there are more textured grille surfaces. The side grilles on the body are also particularly good, with grilles between the main openings. At the rear the access stair is also metal. The big counterweight has got a smooth finish with excellent graphics, and it looks like there are exhaust openings at the back. The opposite side of the body has more excellent grilles, and the quality of this part of the model is really good. Up on the roof, most of the modelled equipment is in plastic, and there's some nicely indicated fire suppression equipment. The grills indicated on the top surfaces are formed by graphics. The hydraulics detailing running to the boom is comprehensive, and there are many soft hoses. These run to pipes which are fixed to the boom, and the overall appearance is very busy. The hydraulic pipes turn back into hoses where they connect to the hydraulic rams. And another high point is the various connections between the moving parts. Both the boom and the stick are of heavy metal construction, and it all gives the impression of a serious piece of machinery. That also continues through to the very big backhoe bucket, and that has excellently detailed teeth. There are also wear plates at the cutting edges, and the underneath of the bucket is also well detailed. Starting with the crawler tracks, and it can be rolled by hand, and they are well tensioned and therefore not super smooth. And that means that even with the heavy weight, the crawler tracks won't turn on a smooth surface. Of course, you can move the model around with good old-fashioned hand power, and you can see here how the tracks are tensioned. Moving out onto the floor of the Cranes Etc. quarry, and when the tracks can bite a little, they roll perfectly well as you push the model around. In terms of rotation, it's not super smooth, but it's certainly good enough to stick at any position you want to leave it in. The model features some access options, and the first is the lowering stair, and the range of movement is very good. That's used for normal access, and there's also some emergency ladders. This one is located on the cab side, and it works very well, and there's another one on the opposite side of the body. We move on to the excavating functions. And on the review model, the rams controlling the boom were just a little on the loose side, and because of the heavy weight, maybe some grub screws in the jackets would have been a good answer for the model. Having said that, you can still get some very good poses. The bucket and stick rams are quite stiff, and the height of lift of the whole arrangement seems pretty good. And by jiggling with the rams a bit, you can get it to hold this kind of a pose. And the only risk is that the bucket suddenly comes down and cuts your fingers off. If we go further, we can also bring the bucket right in, and the extensions are very good. But this is a backhoe, and the machine would typically work up on a bench. So let's examine the depth of dig. For the review model, this was the maximum, and you can see that there was still some exposed piston visible. So the range is not quite what it could be. But the big backhoe needs a truck to load, and here we have one. So, the clowns at Cranes Etc. think this is realistic. They're stupid, you'd need an 8x4 truck at least. Oh well, let's go up a class and bring in something bigger, and even this might be a bit on the small side. This long-awaited backhoe version from BYMO is a huge and impressive model. And in terms of metal content, it is very heavy. The detailing is generally of a high standard, and the only issue was to realign some of the hand railing after shipping. The functionality is reasonably good, and it can hold most poses that you would want. And overall, this is a nice model of the big Komatsu PC8000, which is very good.